And we're just waiting to see. Once we see people enter the stream, we know we're live for sure. And when that happens, boom, here come the numbers. Here we are, 2:30 on a Saturday. None of us wanted to work today, okay? Nobody. We didn't want to do this. Yet here we are. And not just the normal crew. We brought Cedric Maxwell in here, who's going to try to tamp down some of the rage that Celtics Nation is feeling right now. We are angry, okay? And we're about to take torches and march to the streets. It's Gordon Hayward. Gone. And it's not a trade. We didn't get everyone yesterday was mad because it was only going to be Miles Turner. You know what? Today, Gordon Hayward has left for nothing. You have nothing to show for it. Gordon Hayward is about to sign a 4-year, $120 million deal with Charlotte. Nobody saw that coming. Same way no one saw the Sixers coming out last year, swooping in and signing Al Horford to the money that they did. So let's set the stage. It happened. The Celtics get nothing but a mid-level exception hold. This is the third high-profile free agent that's walked out the door on the Celtics in the last 2 years, and now here we are. So I'm going to start with Cedric's going to try to calm it down. So we're going to start with Max here, okay? Because the rest of us are spitting fire.
Okay. All right, guys. Let's just calm down. Take it down a notch. This is the new NBA. This is what's going on now. You look at players going all over the place, and those things happen. How did it work out when Al Horford actually left? How did it work out for Philly? Did it work out that way? How did it work out when Kyrie left? You got your players, your team actually got better. I don't think you think about it, and I know some of you guys are angry at Danny. You're angry at Danny for what? The player decided to leave. You can't twist his arm to say stay. If he wants to leave, he wants to leave. And thank God Michael Jordan came in and he did what he did, and everybody was. For a while, I remember Nick Gelso was saying to me, he said, "Oh my God, poor Gordon Hayward." And some of my friends were saying, "Gordon Hayward, oh my God, I feel so bad for him." Look, you don't think that Gordon Hayward has something in the back pocket when he's decided, said, "I'm walking away for $34 million"? There was always something that somebody had talked to him about, and a deal was ready to be made. And God bless the player when he leaves like that.
So I'm going to let Nick weigh in here.
I'm shaking your damn head. What do you think? Say something. If you're going to say something, say something.
I'll wait till my turn. This is like around the horn.
Nick, you can jump in. I will say this, Max. I don't think anybody is going to blame Gordon Hayward here. Well, Nick will. So I'm going to let Nick blame Gordon after. But what I believe is it's not Gordon that people are mad at here. Mm-hmm. It is Danny. Gordon, look, this is not a great deal for Charlotte, okay? I mean, it makes no sense what they just did here. They let Kemba Walker walk to sign Terry Rozier and Gordon Hayward to these ridiculous contracts. This seems like terrible.
No, it's like over there. Filling seats in the arena, maybe.
This is a great deal for Charlotte.
See? I knew he was going to say that. Watch.
I can't agree with that at all.
Let me explain why. Charlotte gets a really good player, and what you guys don't look at, and I'll say it on air, Charlotte gets a great white player to come to a town that is desperately looking for a guy who could star in Charlotte. And he happens to be white, and the fan base has lived for that. So when Gordon Hayward goes there, and if Gordon Hayward, we can talk about Gordon. How many did he average last year?
17.
17 points. What will he average more next year? Being in Charlotte, getting more shots. He has an opportunity to go up. So let's not say Michael Jordan made a bad deal. I like this deal a lot better than the Terry Rozier deal. This deal is a pretty good deal for them, especially when you talk about buying tickets for a fan base which has struggled to have an identity. This is a guy you can put seats in people's asses in the stands.
So with due respect, it could end up being okay for Charlotte. It could. And that's fine. And it certainly could be good for Gordon, who gets to, if he didn't love the Boston experience and he wants to go there, and I know Charlotte was mentioned among the suitors potentially when he came to Boston in the first place, so maybe he's had it in his mind. It might be good for both those parties, but it's really bad for Boston for a lot of different reasons, which are You've lost a key player. You do not have bench depth behind him right now. You have virtually no ability right now to go out and get people. And even with this mid-level exception, Bobby, we lost. There's a lot of people off the board already. So their immediate future is, they're both short-term and long-term future is greatly impacted here. So where people are going to be circling on this one is, sure, if that deal was there and Gordon knew it, it was going to be tough to pass up. But if he wanted to go to Indiana, and the reason it didn't happen is because Danny was playing hardball, waited it out to the point that he drove him into Charlotte's arms, and they're like, sure, let's take a stab, and that's what happened. That's not great at all. So I don't know how this all played out. It might have been inevitable, Max. This deal, Gordon's plan might have been opt out, see what's out there. If something like this is there, I'm taking it. And then in that case, you're right. There's nothing Danny can do. But at the end of the day, you've still lost in the last 2 years 2 massive free agents without anything coming back to hold their you've lost their salary, you've lost the asset, you've lost the player. And that's what kills you is you cannot, you can't just go bet that money elsewhere now.
Yeah, I think you're right from that standpoint. But here's something else that you have to look at. It also gives, and we'll see if it happens, it also gives Tatum and it gives Brown more opportunities to flourish. So you take the ball out of Gordon's hands and you put it in their hands even more. And you might get something that might even be even better when you think about the opportunities that they have. Because Gordon, they were trying to fit Gordon in where they could. But it was Brown and Tatum's team. And we look at it. Whose team is it right now? When you think about the way this team is going to be structured, whose team is it? It's Brown and it's Tatum. It's not Gordon Hayward. And Gordon Hayward leaves, it might be by subtraction. It could be, and I'm not saying that, but it could be by subtraction that you get better.
I think that could have been the case, Max, if you got that Indiana package back, because you would have been getting players that enhanced Hayward, Tatum, Brown. Now you have 3 great players on this team and nothing else proven. You have no wing depth. You have no center depth. This team is paper thin, and if Kemba is as hurt going forward as he could be, you're talking about 2 players and nothing else around them. So it's great. I love the team being in Tatum and Brown's hands. That's crucial going forward. But what's going to support them? Is it this rookie that just came in? That's a lot to put on a rookie. And Cantor's out the door. Like what's on this team to support those 2 guys?
And the assets are gone.
There's no money, no assets.
The draft picks are gone. So you neither have the draft picks to be able to roll them up into a better player, nor do you have that potential lottery pick that you might hit on later. The cupboard is bare at this point. Now it's these guys, and then what? Nothing behind. That's the thing. It was paper thin to begin with, and now it's gone.
There are some things that you guys are saying, I think, which to me hold true. When you think about your players and who you have, and you have a much thinner team, and you have there's no ground right now for you to falter or have any of these guys get hurt. You think
and Max, the East got stronger, and will continue to.
The East is going to be stronger, but I just don't think. When you guys talk about, I know you're talking about the Celtics, and that's where, our base is. But I can tell you now that if you look at this team and you look at Charlotte's team, this is a great pickup for that city. I don't, you guys have, I lived in Charlotte. I know what Charlotte is wanted. And I've always said that about great white players that move around. People might say, oh, Max, that's racist. No, that's just real. I'm just keeping it real for you. This is a great situation for a fan base who is going to love Gordon Hayward coming there.
Yeah, and again,
and what does that say, Max? That they let Kemba Walker go, and now they're paying all this money to a Gordon Hayward. You got a point there.
He's right. I would say he's totally right. I think it makes sense completely. That's why Atlanta would have made sense too.
No, I hear you, but I think again, we are, as Max mentioned, this market, we're here in a Celtics market. We're looking at it through a Celtics perspective. Again, if it makes sense for Charlotte for reasons beyond what goes on the court, or maybe a combination of everything for what Hayward brings to the city and the team, or whatever it is that the franchise feels it needs. That could be the case. Again, though, from the Celtics perspective, we have run into just
I don't know what you do now.
A really head-shaking, head-scratching, place where. And again, I'm not going to say I don't know what Danny could have done. All I do know is this happened on his watch, and so did last year, and that's not whatever that is. That's not great. People keep leaving you. That's not a great sign for whatever reason. Money is money. Money always talks. So if we're going to praise Danny when he gets these guys to walk through the door, we got to look around and say, what is causing them to leave?
What does it say about Brad Stevens?
Or Brad, or the culture, or the city? And again, we can share the blame, but we can play the blame game. Ultimately, it might be as easy as, so you get them when you get them, and then the next team overpays because they're desperate for some reason, and that's what Charlotte did, and that's what Philly did. They both made an overpay, but
you're right, guys. Why would we look at Al Horford as okay? Why did Al Horford leave? You guys keep talking about Horford. Why did he leave? Money. That's what he left for. He left for money. Let's just make it clear. Now, Gordon
Hayward. Fair point.
Gordon Hayward.
But he didn't earn the money he just made, Max.
What?
He didn't earn the money he just made. He
Nick,
just made all that money from Boston for 3 years. How many games did he play combined? You got to have some sort of loyalty in life. I don't know what's wrong with these people. You should.
Loyalty's out the window.
Nick, I got traded away from a team that I was with for 8 years.
Yeah, and I cried.
There's something called the Big Three, not called the Big Four, over my lifetime. So don't tell me anything about some damn loyalty.
I just feel that you said it. Today's NBA.
When a team wants to trade you, they trade you and they move on. Now that players have an opportunity to go elsewhere, I like it for the players. I'm not pissed off or anything. I like it for the players.
Let me tell you too. The other thing is this chat room with blasting Danny Ainge. Listen, this was not a shining moment. Let's face it. But he's had a couple fucking shining moments over the years. Let's face it.
Right.
Half the league won't deal with them because he's fleeced them all.
We're off the air. We got to go, guys. No.
Man.
Max, I'm with you on loyalty. I don't begrudge a player for leaving for $1 more to go play somewhere else. I have no problem with that. The danger here, and this is where I'm going to look at Danny again. The danger in my mind was when you got to this point, you opened the door for something like this to happen. There was no tampering going on. Gordon didn't know
it wasn't the election.
It was looking like both the Knicks and Atlanta weren't real, and that ended up being the case. Neither one showed actual interest. The longer you drag this out and don't take a deal take whatever is on the table. If Gordon wanted to go to Indiana, Danny should have done it 2 weeks ago, okay? And call it a day. You knew what Indiana was willing to pay. You could have done that.
You gotta get something to someone.
And so when you wait this long, you open the possibility that forget what the market is for someone. The market is what one team is willing to pay. That's the market. It doesn't matter. And if one team is willing to give Gordon that money, you're running a huge risk. And that's what happened. And he walked, and that's a disaster. So again, looking at Danny here, could he have done something prior to this? I don't know.
Well, if Gordon Hayward wanted to go to Indiana, why didn't he? Why didn't he go to Indiana?
Danny had to trade him.
No, he could have opted out of this contract and still went to Indiana, right?
Indiana didn't have the money. They needed Boston to sign and trade.
I know you guys are saying that he could have opted out of the contract, went in and signed a one-year deal.
He could have taken less.
If he really wanted to leave that bad and go. But Charlotte swooped in. Just like nobody saw Al going to Philadelphia, did they? Anybody see
we're together for that one. I mean, that was on the minute the gong sounded on free agency.
See that coming? Did anybody think that? Did anybody for a while think that Kyrie Irving was going to leave?
Yes,
got there eventually, but
I did very early in the process.
Kyrie Irving was in a great situation, but Kyrie Irving wanted to be in Brooklyn.
I'm glad you bring up Kyrie, Max, because that one wasn't the money. That one was the Celtics would have paid him to stay. They would have given him the max, more than anybody, and he chose to leave. So I think when you look back on all of this when we remember this era in Celtics history, it all goes back to that Hayward injury on the first night there. Everybody's role, the whole situation got screwed up from that point on. A new cast of stars took over in Tatum and Brown, and Horford, Hayward, Irving say, this isn't our team anymore. This didn't go the way we wanted to, and they left. So that is what it is. But on Ainge, you got to get something for them. All three left for nothing.
I think you guys, in so many ways, are forgetting the amount of power that players have. You guys say it's not the money. Well, sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. Let's look right now. Let's go down to Texas and look right now at what James Harden. They're offering James Harden $100 million. He is turning down the deal. They're offering $100 million for 2 years. And he said, I don't want that extension. Why is he doing that? Is he happy there? Is he running the show there? Players want to go where they're happy. And obviously, at the end of the day, Gordon Hayward wasn't happy with the situation. Right. He had two players. Not only if he comes here to be a star, okay, yeah, he can be a star. But now you have two dynamic players who are going in front of you and another guy. Gordon Hayward became really your fourth option.
Yeah,
so
but Max,
what?
Here's what bothers me is that basically you have Kemba, who is a ball dominant. Hayward was the good gap to be the distributor for Brown and Tatum, and they need that because Kemba is not a passing point guard. He's a shooting point guard. That's where it hurts. Plus the two-way defense. I mean, I got to say, first time, maybe because it's the first time I really seen him play, but first time ever in the bubble, I thought they needed Hayward badly. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And those are the reasons.
How'd that work out for you, Nick? How'd that work out for you?
Well, they can't. Eastern Conference Finals ain't bad, Max.
I said, how did it work? They did that essentially without Gordon Hayward. They didn't do that with Gordon Hayward. They never got to that point. Hayward came back and played in Miami, and I picked him on one of the games as this is my star of the game for number 6.
Boy, he let you down.
And he gator armed a couple of shots. There were people throwing stuff at TVs.
Missed layups.
There was my child, one of my sons, saying, "Hey, damn, Gordon Hayward, you can't make a layup." Look, you like the Celtics fans. Damn it, Gordon. Give me my damn remote so I can
Look
throw
at
it.
Bobby's face.
That's a good point, Max. It's just going to take time now, though. And how much time do you have with Tatum and Brown to keep them happy, to keep this team competitive?
Loyalty.
Yeah, that's the question now, because this is going to take some time now. You got to rebuild your youth. You got to develop some guys. I just don't think Brown.
You got to rebuild your youth. What are you talking about? You got Gordon. You got Tatum and Brown. You don't have to rebuild your youth. What you have to do is you have to get some other pieces, and you guys are right about that. But you got to convince them your youth.
Well, you have to get them with
you have the two most dynamic forwards right now, young forwards in the game.
It's just two, though. You need a team.
And you need more people, and you got to convince those guys not to go grab their buddies and play elsewhere
in the game, right?
Yeah. But that's all.
And I think the big thing about Nick wearing his red right now is he's scared to death right now that Tatum is now going to leave. That's what Nick can see in his face right now.
I am. I hear Kyrie has speed out.
Nick, you don't know what players are going to go where in this league. You just don't know. It's not based on money anymore. It's based on how players feel and how comfortable they are in situations.
Well, the good thing now is
wait a minute, and their wives, their significant others.
That's been forever and a day. And add their mother. Add their mothers in. And Nick, how about this? Add their sisters in. How about that?
Regardless of their lives, right?
Robin didn't like it here. I've been hearing that for 3 friggin' years.
Oh, come on.
3 years.
Guys, we're over.
Nick, I want you to look in the camera right now. Hey, how did Anna Horford like it down in Philly?
Oh, leave Anna out of this. The Philly fans just stopped attacking me.
Hey,
John,
I'm gonna go hard on that too, because now Celtics fans are gonna get a taste of what Hayward was, and as he's killing it down in Charlotte, as Max mentions, they're gonna realize, wow, we had something good in this guy, and now he's gone.
Well,
all they did was complain about him.
I think we're overestimating what a few friggin' talking heads and a few people on Twitter and the impact they can have on a particular player. Okay, like Gordon Hayward, I actually thought was treated with kid gloves over this time. Okay, people made excuses for him way more than they killed him. A few, like the vocal minority, might have killed him the same way they killed overrated Al or average Al, but the Celtics fans on the whole were rushing to the front lines to defend Gordon Hayward. I want to hear none of that. Also, what type of ego do we have that we think what a few people might say behind the scenes and on Twitter are going to influence this guy? We're not talking about.
Well, does it influence
Kyrie Irving?
Celtics fans had nothing to do with this decision, okay? And any suggestion to that effect is arrogant.
So what was it?
Yeah, what was it?
There's something that drove him out.
Robin.
I believe if you want to get into behind the scenes, look, a ton of this is speculation. I can see why a person like Gordon Hayward might not love Boston also, okay? You know, we know about there's an idea of his politics. There's an idea of how he's fit into that locker room. It's not a great spot to be for him. 2, he was clearly third or fourth fiddle here, and if he wants to go somewhere else, that's fine.
That's the key.
And the other is money. It's again
the key to it.
And I think money is actually one, and everything else is way down the list.
He became the fourth option.
That's the fourth option. Yeah.
Nick, what is that on your shirt? Does that make America great?
It's education reform.
Where's that in private?
It's education reform.
No,
nobody's looking. He puts his red hat on.
Gentlemen, you're losing now. What it was when Gordon Hayward came here, he looked at himself as the number 2 option when he first got here.
Yep. I agree.
Last couple of years, last year, he became your 4th option. That's what really happened. And he did not like his position there. So now he goes to Charlotte, and he can realistically be their first option. He can realistically be their first option in Charlotte. You think about it. Who they had? Melo Ball is a passer, right? So he's going to be setting up Gordon Hayward. Who else do they have there that you think?
Terry Rozier.
Rozier, he's scary.
Terry Rozier really didn't play as bad.
It'll be a decent team.
Devontae Graham was a much better player, and he's a facilitator and he's a passer. So Gordon Hayward goes into a situation where he probably is going to be your featured back
until the tinfoil breaks.
Running back, he will be your featured back going there.
Wouldn't that be something, Nick? If he's healthy all next year, then
I'll be saying, the luck of the Celtics. But I'm going to tell you something. Seeing him break his hand and his ankle like tinfoil is telling me it ain't going to happen. He will get injured.
And it kills you.
I don't want him to. Don't get me wrong. I don't want him to, but he will.
And it kills you because how does history go different if that night in Cleveland never happened?
How does history go different if Isaiah Thomas never hurt his knee?
They would have traded him anyway.
Yeah, I don't think the same
anyway, but when you get Kyrie Irving, you're going to get Kyrie Irving.
I agree.
And all these people right now, and yeah, Danny's my friend and teammate. There's some things that I didn't like Danny's done before in his, why he's been cooked. I didn't like when he got rid of Perk. I hated that. Let's look at his body of work of some of the things he has got done. He got Tatum. Nobody wanted Brown when he picked Brown. Remember, Marcus Smart wasn't the best pick that everybody thought about. Then when he picked up,
they booed. Yeah, Brown they booed.
And he got Kyrie Irving to come here, and he got Gordon Hayward to come here, and he got Al Horford to come here. So let's look at his body of work, what he's actually done, instead of saying, "Oh, this guy left." Well, Al Horford left for $100 million. Let me tell you, gentlemen, I'd have left for $100 million if they gave it to me.
I want to stay on.
Hold on. No, none of this is wrong, but again, it all comes down to where are the Celtics now? 2 years ago, okay, you've got Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, and these two young guys and still picks and assets for whatever reasons beyond your control or within your control, they have now just Hayward and Brown. Okay, let's add Kemba there too. But they have lost
John,
Kyrie. They've lost Al. They've lost Hayward. Those draft picks did not turn into the Memphis, the Sacramento, all of these picks. They did not turn into stars or anything right now. We'll see what this kid they got this year is, but that's it. So this was it. 2 years ago, it was, we've got this roster and endless possibility. And now you've got two young stars, Kemba Walker and his balky knee, and you're out of draft picks and you have no cap space. The organization is in way worse shape right now.
Another guy you're not talking about either. Is Marcus Smart on this team?
Oh, no, not the Celtics fans.
Is Marcus Smart one of the best defenders that we've seen in a while? This team, the cupboard, let me just tell you guys, the cupboard's not bare. I played during the 1979.
It's not. It's just more bare.
The cupboard was bare. I played 1978, 1977. There was nothing in the cupboard. Now, there was a guy coming, some asshole named Larry Bird. He found who he was, and he was pretty damn good. But, you know, let's not just like, oh my God, we have nothing.
It's not bare.
It's nothing there. John, let me jump in here.
John, what you're saying though is where you were and where you are.
Yes,
if
that's
you have
all
a
I'm
team
saying.
right now that was competing, that you looked at as a team that could win a championship. Right
With
now,
options.
you're looking at a team right now. If they're really good and they maximize, we think that they could possibly get in the Eastern Conference Finals, and
that's a step back,
and that will be a struggle. So
that's
I understand what you're saying. People are disappointed, but you also have to look at what you have right now. You have two dynamic players. You have Marcus. You have Kemba. Now let's find out what Brad's going to do this year. Let's find out if Danny has it, because right now you guys are right, and I can see where you're pissed off because of where you were and where you are now. I think that's what I think I hear all of you saying.
Yeah, and we go back to the contract. You couldn't pay Hayward that. You just couldn't. There was a limit here. I was willing to pay him quite a bit, but it wasn't $120 million. You couldn't do that. And,
are you kidding me? I would have quit and not watched the team anymore if they.
So you know what? And here's a dose of optimism. Al Horford leaves, and who steps in? Daniel Tyson has a pretty good year. Could Romeo Langford step in for Gordon Hayward now and have a good year?
I think so.
John, you off your face, John.
I would love it. I would love it. I would love it if he could.
But
right
right now, Romeo Langford has a cast on his leg.
Yep.
So where is he going with that? That's a whole nother thing. Romeo Langford's hurt. And some of the guys I love Brad Wanamaker. With Brad Wanamaker's contract, but are you going to bring him back? He was the guy who
maybe now.
I think you should now. Yeah, I think you should now.
If we start trying to make ourselves feel better about Gordon Hayward leaving, and we're mentioning names like Romeo Langford
reality,
and Brad Wanamaker, I'm going to jump out this window right here.
No, John,
guys. This is the most quiet I've been in 10 years. I don't think it is as much Gordon Hayward as it is the reality that Danny got screwed and the cupboard is kind of bare. And we have, in today's NBA, as Max put it, there are no assurances that Jayson Tatum is going to stay in Boston. And I think that's what fans are mainly freaking out about. But looking at the chat here, as everybody's saying, fuck F Danny, F this, F that. Again, I just want to reiterate, Isaiah Thomas screamed and kicked his way out the door in Boston because he didn't want to leave. Paul Pierce spent the last 3 years of his career on a marketing campaign for the Celtics while he played for other teams. Al Horford didn't want to leave. He was given an offer he couldn't refuse. So these players that we're talking about, the two players that were disgruntled, Kyrie and Gordon, so long. Goodbye.
It's bad management though. Like
That's
there's
terrible.
no refuse. There's no.
We're not
it's
here
bad
for
management.
These are assets. You manage it. Who gave? I can't stand this whole loyalty and he didn't want to be here stuff. It doesn't matter. You manage your assets and you don't let them walk for nothing. That's
well, if that's the case, John, then he was doing a negotiation and they called his bluff. He held out too long, and the Hornets came in and Gordon took the deal. But that's a negotiation and an asset of management. You're not going to pay Gordon $130 million again.
Can I throw this at Max? Because I want to take this back to 2019 when you had all those players, Rozier, Morris, Hayward, Brown. It was just such a packed roster. And you had a chance that year to maybe trade Rozier, maybe trade Hayward. Just condense this a little bit because we all know there were too many players on that team that needed the ball in their hands. I think that's the year that you look back on and say, you should have traded one of those guys.
Yeah, I think that the possibilities were there then because, as you said, and I said that when Brad was coaching, I said it was going to be Brad's toughest year because there were just too many players and not enough minutes out there. And Brad's a nice guy, and he was trying to play this guy. But in the NBA now, you got to reduce your roster to playing maybe around about 8 guys, and that's it. And then other guys get in. Look what happened now. You think about a team like Miami. Miami was a team that only played about 8 guys, and that's it. Charlotte, you look at Boston. Boston tried to play more. So many guys. They tried to play 10 or 11 guys during that particular year, and I think that was a mistake. You just can't play you want to. You see that, but you can't play everybody. So I understand what you guys are saying, and I understand how the fans right now are pissed off. And what I understand you guys saying again is this: where the cupboard was during that time with all the players and the opportunity to win a championship, you guys looked at it that way and saying all that talent you had, you were like, oh my God. When you had Kyrie Irving, when you had that team, you're just like, we're going to win a championship. And you were horrible. You were horrible. Nobody loved. Last year, this team was a couple of baskets away from playing in the championship.
And the year before Kyrie left, too.
A couple of baskets. So I think you guys are out there on the limb. I understand your anger. I understand your aggression. I understand people even mad right now going with Gordon Hayward. But I'm not mad at Gordon Hayward. Again, Gordon Hayward goes to a team that he's going to be the #1 prospect. He's going to be looked at as the #1 guy in a city like Charlotte. And if he's healthy, Charlotte is going to eat him up.
So I'm gonna throw this to John now too. I'm gonna throw this to John because John had his hands in his face on Langford. What do we do now?
Back to Langford, please.
And no, I'm not the biggest Langford fan. I am far from the biggest Langford fan. But what are you going to do now? You have a bunch of young players here. They're going to get more playing time. Okay. And Brad has been known to make those players better.
Anyone who's watched us the last few days, I kept saying this. Take a step backwards to take 2 steps forward. I keep saying the same thing, and that's why I was fine. Take cents on the dollar for Hayward to eventually get younger and to create a situation where you have other people or younger people playing, whether it's rookies. I'd love to see if Romeo with a full healthy season can do something. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we were talking about throwing him in as trade filler, so I don't know what the organization.
Well, it was a different time, John. Now we're
happy to do that. I just don't know if they have the guys here that you're going to be able to do that with. And again, there is the Tatum Brown concern of you don't want to throw these guys out there with a bunch of inexperienced whatever and then have it just go backwards and sour them on the whole Boston experience. You want to make these guys feel like this is the place to be moving forward. And again, Tatum hasn't signed this deal yet, and I'm not saying it's going to impact his decision to. But Bobby, I've kept talking about this 2023 window when Brown's deal is up and the clock starts ticking on Tatum for second extension. You got to have an organization that these guys want to stay with, or else it's I'm going to grab my buddies and I'm heading to LA and I'll see you guys later.
Here's the thing that I think that you're doing if you're the Celtics right now. And we all have young kids, and John, yours aren't as older as mine were, but eventually what we do with our kids is we give them the keys. We give them the keys to the car. We give them the keys to the front door. They can come home, they can get in and out. And that's what they're doing with Tatum and Brown. They've already
They
done
have
that.
to, yes.
They've already done that with Brown.
Brown has proven he can handle it.
Right now, that Tatum, this is your team.
He better mature.
But if he decides to go someplace else and play, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be like shocked, but I'd be surprised because essentially you look at him, the way this team is made up, he's able to do essentially what he wants to do, and has become, over his years, he's become one of the rising stars in the NBA. We wouldn't think right now, that he'd be one of the top 10 players in the NBA if we looked at him, if we talked about Brown in that way?
No. He was the most impressive difference between year over year, I think, when coming back from 18 to 19 or whatever year it is. Brown in the bubble was outstanding. And I think Brown has shown quite a bit of maturity in the way that he is reacting to difficult situations, where Tatum tends to mope and pout a bit when things don't go his way. And a leader can't do that. Brown, I think, has shown tremendous patience. And if you notice through all this, I never said 1 second that I think Brown would leave Boston, because anything's possible. We've seen that over the last couple of years, but I don't believe, I'm not worried about that with Jaylen. I think he sees the big picture. I think he sees the culture and the franchise. I hope Tatum does as well, but there's always that agent chirping in his ear. And if Kyrie Irving has him on speed dial, that dude is toxic. Stay away from him, Jayson.
All right, hold on. I gotta take this opportunity, and Nick is more than anybody going to be excited for this. But we got over 1,000 people. We got over 1,000 people in the stream, and I would be remiss if I did not mention our sponsor, right? Which is Manscaped.
Should I go get the box?
If you really want to get the box, you can get the box.
Hold on, let me stand up and show you what we've done with Never mind.
Oh my God, you'll break the internet.
So let's tell everybody at home about our products. Our friends at Manscaped, here to remind you to take care of your biggest grooming and hygiene needs from head to toe with the all-in-one Manscaped Performance Package Kit, okay? So for your most aggressive hair below the waist, nobody stand up, please, okay? The lawnmower
just
3.0, massive upgrade over the 2.0, okay? Massive upgrade. One step further, they released their Weed Whacker. That's ear, nose, and hair trimmer. Performance package. What's that?
You get hair coming out of places you didn't even know exist. Once
we got some news too.
Wait till you become 65. Then you're really talking about where hair comes from.
Let me get through this read.
I won't live that long.
Let me get through this. We got some news as well. The Crop Preserver. That's deodorant for you know where. We've got foot duster, foot powder. Absolutely. Want to smell good everywhere? Nick Gelso will tell you Manscaped cologne is all he wears now. On top of that, a shed travel bag to carry around all of your goods. Anti-chafing boxer briefs holds the whole package together.
Those are good.
Yep. So what do? Read it on the screen. 20% off, free shipping with the code Garden20 at manscaped.com. Free shipping with the code Garden20 at Manscaped. I'd like to read that Robin thing. Can I read that?
Yeah, we got news after that too, but let's do that first.
All right, so everyone was talking. Everyone's been freaking out a little bit about Robin Hayward. Take this for what it is, whether or not, but she released a statement here on Instagram, I believe.
Her on Instagram too. Ban her.
Robin Hayward, contrary to the media in Boston, which
means that it is right what the media was saying. Sorry.
I have really enjoyed my exactly. Translation, you guys are right, but I'm not giving you satisfaction.
That's right, because I'm a woman.
Oh, Jesus.
Bacon and eggs.
I have really enjoyed my time there and the relationships I made. I'm going to miss the community I lived in, from the local police officers for checking in on me every day. Oh, my God.
What is that insinuation?
This woman, I don't read it anymore, seriously.
Wait, hold on. The wonderful friends I've made at Roach Brothers. This can't be real. Is this fake?
No, this is the way she does this shit, John. I'm not going to say anything nasty.
Friends at my cheese shop.
Wait.
Friends at the cheese shop. My neighbors. I couldn't have been as happy as I was without all of you.
Somebody give me a violin, man. Somebody give me a violin, would you?
This can't be real. Trust is a hard thing to have in the NBA world, but I do trust my small community. Oh, wow. Always had my back. I mean, she's basically saying it was a couple of neighbors and the guy at the cheese shop and the cops are the only ones that liked me.
Oh no doubt. The cops. You
We
knew
are
that would get
grateful for them
mentioned.
keeping us company while Gordon was away. I'm excited to see my husband show his talents again.
There it is.
Because he didn't get to here. Wow, you could. I could unpack this thing for a week.
I said that from the beginning. Gordon Hayward was the second option when Kyrie Irving was here when you first signed him. And then Gordon Hayward went to be maybe the fourth option. So what she's saying is essentially what I've told you is that he wants to go to a place where he's going to be a featured back. Let's look at it like a football team. When you say, okay, I'm going here, I'm going to be a featured back where I'm going. This is what's going to happen to him in Charlotte. So I can't be mad at him for that. I think that if anybody, you say, okay, I understand as a player. Sometimes, as a player, look, and I'll be like, for me, for instance, I went from the second option, the first option on this team.
I was going to say, you are this.
1978, when I was averaging about 19 points a game, to get Larry Bird, second option. Get Kevin McHale, third option. Get Robert Parrish, fourth option. Get Danny Ainge, DJ, fifth option. And so, players understand certain things, and you have to have guys who want to sacrifice and be in that position. Gordon Hayward feels like he wants to be more in a prime time position. So that's all it boils down
on a losing team.
And he goes and gets 120 million for 4 years.
Yeah, you can't pass up on that kind of money.
No, you can't. You stupid as hell if you do. I would slap him if he did that. So you can't do that if you did. Take that.
So here's the next. Been out there for a bit, Bobby. I meant to talk about it, but we were rolling.
Yeah.
Millsap?
Yeah.
The Celtics are interested in bringing Paul Millsap aboard now, it appears, which I love. That guy is phenomenal. I bet you remember him from 2016, Max, when he dropped 50 on the Celtics.
I was there.
He's not that guy anymore, but he's a power forward. He can start for you. He's a veteran, and he's still got a lot of game left.
That's a guy that I have always loved, and I think you're saying the right thing. He's not that guy anymore that you saw 3-4 years ago. What does he do? He can shoot the jump shot. He can stretch the floor out. He rebounds. He defends. So he brings you in a good presence if you think about having him in that position. And I don't know if he wouldn't be to me right now, he wouldn't be an upgrade over Gordon. And that's only because of his age. I think what he did at that particular time, the big thing, how much does he have left in the tank? I think that would be the big question.
Can I just jump in a split second? What were we saying like 4 minutes ago? It was let the kids play. Now we're talking about bringing in 35-year-old Paul Millsap. Why
not though? Why not?
That's a 1 year Band-Aid, okay?
Yeah, but you got to fill this out somehow.
Give Rob Williams 28 minutes a game and see what he does next year.
We'll play Millsap next
time
with the four.
Tanking?
We're not developing talent, or you're putting in old guys.
John, I'll be with you in that sense. Bob Ryan wrote an article in 1978 about me, and he talked about all those older players we had at that time. He said, "You know what? Screw that. I see the future at power forward, and that's Cedric Maxwell. Let him make all the mistakes that he can make, and he's going to grow, and and become better." Now, you could say the same thing with Rob. You can say the same thing. Does he come in? Does you give him those minutes? Does he become a better player for you? So now you have an opportunity to see what you have in him. I think so. I think you're right from that standpoint of saying, do you want Millsap to come in and give you 15, 20 minutes when you could give those minutes to a Robert Williams and let him grow? I understand.
Or whether it's him, I would rather take, and again, these are not the greatest names, Bobby, but I would rather take flyers on young guys who washed out somewhere else and see if they can.
Giles.
Giles for sure. I mentioned Josh Jackson.
He's gone.
I know, but in our free agent discussion, I mentioned Josh Jackson as let's go take this lottery guy and see if we can develop him into maybe not a great 3-and-D guy, but at least a switchable wing that you can play with your guys and isn't going to kill you. Maybe you can have a 2.0 life with him. That's what I mean by younger. You can almost like Belichick does this in with the Patriots a lot. They call it second drafting.
Second drafting.
Guys you looked at in the first time around, thought about maybe they would work here. They went somewhere else, and for whatever reason, it didn't work there. That could be because they can't play basketball and they were judged poorly, or they were just in a crap system. And then you bring him in here, and Brad gets at him. And Brad, we know his strength is developing young talent, getting people to overachieve, getting them to work. I'd rather see us go after guys like that than a Band-Aid like Paul Millsap, who is fine. I like him. He's fine. Paul Millsap is the type of guy you would have added in addition to the team that you have to help. So
and this is where we still disagree, John. I want to give us as strong of a chance as we can to win next year. You're okay taking that step back to the 6-7 seed, maybe bowing out in the first round.
They're not going there no matter what. I'm just saying. I
think you could.
I'm saying build for what you can get to, not just what you're doing now. Look ahead. At least a couple years. And if you're going to bring somebody in, think that they can help you long term. You don't bring in.
The problem is you
don't
can't
bring in
look
veteran Band-Aids on a team that you don't expect is going to contend this year. And again, I'm going to use another sports analogy. I remember Theo Epstein, when he was general manager of the Red Sox, used to say all the time, look, we're looking to make the playoffs 6 or 7 out of 10 years. And again, in baseball, it's harder to make the playoffs. But the point being is, if every single year I chase the thing I don't have, I'm going to kneecap myself in the ability to get to where I want to get to long term. The year you need starting pitching, you go out there and you overspend on your John Lackeys and your crap starting pitchers just to plug holes. Then it makes it so you can't improve yourself elsewhere down the road. So that's what I'm saying is, don't just look at what this team needs tomorrow. Look at what you need to continue to be successful into the future.
I see where you're going with that, because if you have a Robert Williams, you have to see what you have. Just say you roll the dice and he starts playing well. Now you have a guy who is young, who has been in your system already, who has an opportunity instead of those 15 minutes that you give to Millsap would kneecap a guy like Robert Williams. So I see where you're going. I don't really like it, because I've always loved Millsap, but I understand when you guys saying, well, is Millsap isn't who he was 3-4 years ago when he dropped 50 on you.
Yeah, I'd rather see. I like I said, is and that was those seasons, Max. You've seen. I mean, all of us have seen it. But we're not saying this is one of those like rebuild for the lottery, let them play sort of years. But that being said, there's a bit of excitement in seeing what kids can do. There's been a couple of years where it's like, oh, I like this vibe. So again, I'd rather that than see Paul Millsap. That's just personally me. Doesn't mean you can't find other things here. I know we've talked about Aaron Baines. People want to see Isaiah Thomas come back. I don't mind a couple of those guys as long as they're on cheap 1-year
deals. Aaron I like, but Isaiah doesn't need to come back.
I would take Aaron Baines as a guy I would take before I would take Paul Millsap.
Yeah, and Baines might happen.
And the reason I say that is because Aaron Baines in the post area, that's where you're really weak. The guys attacking the rim and not getting knocked down. Millsap is a nice sized guy, but he isn't the bruiser or that doorstop that you think about Joel Embiid when he played against Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines made him go through his body, and Millsap, and he slowed him down. So Aaron Baines to me fills more gaps. That's what I'll say. Aaron Baines to me fills more gaps than Millsap does.
And he's a known commodity. You know he's going to have a good attitude. He's going to be a good locker room guy. You're going to get consistency out of him if he stays healthy. Yeah, Aaron Baines, I think, is a no-brainer, and I think you have to go after Giles at this point.
You do have to go after Giles. You need a project there. I don't know if they believe in Rob Williams still. I hope they do.
I do.
But again, Brad wouldn't play him in the playoffs, so that concerns me.
Brad concerns me. No offense to him, because I like him, but
yeah, I like him a lot too.
But Brad concerns me.
That is really key to what you're saying. How much belief does Brad have in Robert Williams? We've seen him with Robert Williams thrown in like 2 minutes here. He plays 4 minutes there.
Yep.
How good can he be? I think if you're going to, like you said, either you're going to roll the dice or not with him. You put him in the lineup and you let him play and you let him make mistakes and you let him grow. And if he grows into be the type of player, what we know he can do, what are his traits, his great attributes? He can block shots. He is a good around the rim. What we
great hands.
His physicality in the paint. He's not anybody that's going to scare me, but if I go in there with some cheap stuff, I know he's going to throw it in the front row.
I would argue a Paul Millsap can help a Rob Williams because this guy rebounds. He can play the floor. He can space the floor. And apparently he's going to decide today. So we'll know whether or not Millsap's coming today. I see Aaron Baines going to the Clippers. They lost their center the other day. I think he makes sense there. And Aaron Baines, he plays the 5. So he'd be another guy fighting for minutes with Rob Williams. I think Millsap gives you a little bit more flexibility.
I don't think he fights for the minutes if he came here. Because I think you're going to give him the minutes because the thing that he does that Rob Williams isn't going to do is Aaron Baines now is able to stretch the floor out. And now you have all 5 guys who are stretching out the floor. I think there was one game where we looked at Aaron Baines had 8 threes in the game.
He had 9 threes. Where did that come from, man?
All right, let me ask you this. How many threes do you think right now Rob Williams is going to have for his career? Okay, thank you. I rest my case.
But I heard Brad has Taco practicing threes at practice.
He does.
Oh my God,
Max! I can't believe Aaron Baines. I look at his game log last year. He goes 9 for 14 from 3 in a game. Where did that come from? He wasn't doing that.
Aaron Baines has been.
He started here.
You know, what you see over guys' careers is they start doing that. Al Horford got the NBA. Became a 3-point shooter. Everybody does. I remember talking to Elton Brand one time, who was horrible in Philly as a general manager, but as a player, pretty good player. I remember the last couple of years of his career, I was out on the court just standing around when he's with the Clippers, and I saw him out there shooting threes. I said, "Man, don't tell me you done went to the dark side." He said, "Look, man, either you get in or you get left. This league is you have to have that in your back pocket." The ability to knock down and stretch the floor out. Robert Williams isn't going to stretch the floor out for you.
Max, would you be shooting threes in the league today?
No.
I'd have to.
You'd have to.
Have to.
You'd have to, or we'd be killing him.
Not a question about, not a question about that. Is you'd have to.
We'd be out here killing him.
You'd have to elevate your game. You think
about Kareem would be shooting threes today.
Think about the guys who played.
I can't
go down the greatest players who ever played the game. Were they 3-point shooters? Dr. J really wasn't a 3-point shooter. Hall of Fame.
Michael Jordan wasn't.
Michael Jordan shot him later on in his career, but he wasn't a 3-point shooter. The best player we've ever seen around would be Akeem Olajuwon, and we can talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Weren't 3-point shooters, but the game has changed where you have to have that in your back pocket.
John, that's your cue because you hate this history talk. I know.
I don't hate the history talk. I just think fans. Here's the thing: if you're a fan right now,
God bless you.
You just want to know how are they going to make it better, okay? And we don't know what that answer is right now. So right now, all you have is the nightmare scenario of Gordon Hayward leaving for nothing coming back in return. Fans spent an entire couple of days crapping on Miles Turner. You know what? Miles Turner looked pretty freaking good in a Celtics uniform right now. Okay. So again, we don't know if Danny overplayed. We don't know if he had any say in what happened here.
We also don't know what the behind the scenes relationship was.
Through the lens of the Celtics fan, you were only wondering, you want somebody to hold you and tell you everything's going to be all right. Okay.
You know what?
That is Paul Millsap.
You're so right about that. Is that people know or think that they know what went on behind the scenes?
Yeah, they don't
think they know what Gordon Hayward was talking about, or if you had an opportunity, everybody thinks you could have pulled the trigger. Think you could have pulled the trigger and said, "We're going to go right now to Indiana, and we're going to get Miles Turner, and we're going to get somebody else, and we're going to ship Gordon Hayward there." We don't know if Gordon Hayward wanted to go. We don't know if that deal. Only thing what we know is what really happened at the end of the day, where Charlotte came in and gave Gordon Hayward $120 million.
And again, that was the fear.
How did Michael Jordan do this? He never spends.
This is what we're saying. You let it get to this point. If you could have dealt Gordon a couple weeks ago to Indiana where he wanted to go, and they gave him 4 and 100, and he was happy, then you walk away with something. We don't know if Danny had a deal and held it and pressed it. You don't know because he's trying to juice him for a little bit more. You're going to get stuff from both sides too. The Celtics spin is obviously going to be, we tried, nobody was biting. Gordon wanted to see what offers were out there. But you might hear another side, which is from Indiana, we would have pulled this trigger 2 weeks ago and we were ready to go. And if that's the case, like I said, people are going to lose their freaking minds. So
people will tell you anything that you want to hear. We know
that.
There's a guy that we know right now that says he has not lost this election right now.
And there's half the country believes him.
We got a guy who had 80 million votes against him. He said, I haven't lost this thing. People will tell you what they want to hear. So
if that's the case,
what the facts are.
If that's the case, then I'm going to tell everybody out there right now, Gordon Hayward is still a Celtic. I don't care.
He is a Celtic. Yes, it's a trade fraud.
Can you prove to me that Charlotte actually gave him that money?
Here's what I got, really. Celtics fans chill because Gordon didn't play for 2 of the 3 seasons, and the Celtics fared pretty well. And Kyrie didn't play one of those seasons, and the role players were not much better than they are now. The Celtics will be fine. Danny Ainge will figure it out.
The problem you have in Boston, and I'll put it to the nutshell, gentlemen, is that you have a really good
Get rid of the Scouts honor, guys.
But the problem with the Celtics, you're measured by championships. You're not measured by having a good team. You're measured by having a championship team. And that is the difference between where we're at with this team. We can look at this team, and there'll be some teams right now, people right now who would be happy as hell to have a team like this that was competing going deep in the playoffs. Boston Celtic fans are spoiled. They have championships. It's about banners. It's not about winning the division. It's not about – look, we would – last year, just think of it this way. Before the season was over, we would have all traded our left manscape in to say that's a free plug for our sponsor.
Thank you. Yeah, Garden 20.
We'd have traded our left manhood in to say that the Boston Celtics were in the finals. Nobody looked in the beginning of the year. I said, boy, if they can get to the finals, that's a fantastic year. Well, they got to the finals, and then we still weren't satisfied because we felt like they could got to the NBA finals and had the chance to win the championship. So we're spoiled as fans here with the Boston Celtics. So let's just get it and put it on the table. You have a good team. You have good players. You have a great coach. You have a great organization. But will you win a championship? That is what you guys are telling me.
Well, and that's the thing is I think the Celtics fans need to realize that, and Max, maybe you do too, is it's almost been the same duration of time between 08 and 86 and 08 and 2020. So, the Celtics have been in quite a drought. I think fans are getting impatient. We watched them trade Paul Pierce away for all these draft picks. Yes, they got Tatum. Yes, they got Brown. But everything else has been kind of bumbled.
Let me say this to all you Celtic fans. You would kill yourself if you were a Knicks fan right now.
Or a Pistons fan.
You would be happy. You would be if you had a team like this. You would be ecstatic.
No, but
I'd also be really mad.
Fan, you're looking at the Knicks fans are going, oh my God, the Celtics think they have problems.
That's fine, Max. That's fine, but I'd kill myself if I was 4 foot 9 inches tall. But I also don't want to be 5'3".
Like me.
It doesn't matter. You have what you have. It's just it is what it is. Like you don't want to go backwards at any point in time. You're always ahead.
That's a great analogy.
Like you'll tell your kids, and you have young ones. Be thankful for what you have.
Yeah.
You. That's where we're looking at this team and saying, oh my God, we don't have anything.
You know what that means?
At the end of the day, with this Gordon Hayward thing, and I agree with both of you when, like, you wanted to get something back in return, you did that. Let's let the process go. Let's see if this opens up other avenues right now for Brown and for Tatum to become even better players because they're going to get more opportunities.
But Max, that was all possible while also trading Hayward to receive something else. So again, all of that could have happened, which is you remove the wing, you give more minutes and shots to those guys, which is something you want to do anyway, and you build and you supplement in other places that might be able to lift the team as a whole up. You make the wholes, greater than the sum of the parts, instead of just saying, again, you go back to that team with Kyrie and with Gordon and with Al, and you're looking at all this talent, but it didn't work on paper. You actually needed to subtract to make everybody else better. Kyrie leaving, Marcus leaving, made people better around the Marcus Morris because it emboldened them, it empowered them to open up their games, but they're there already.
Let me ask you guys this then. What happens, and somebody had this on the screen and they took my thunder, what happens if you get a guy like Serge Ibaka?
Yeah, I was thinking it too.
I'm all in on Serge Ibaka.
Now you got $8 million and whatever else money you got. Can you go get a Serge Ibaka? How would he fit in with your team now if you're able to get him?
He'd be a better version of Millsap, who we're talking about right now.
Toscano would be thrilled. He loves Ibaka. I love Ibaka.
There'll be serious competition for him, though, and I think Toronto will want to keep him now that they've kept Van Fleet.
But they left Toronto.
You're looking at $9 and $10 million here. That's what you can afford,
and that's something, John.
But you were saying Ibaka's getting 20. I don't think he's
not getting 20 million.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you sign Ibaka for 2 years at that $9 million?
I would absolutely if you would take it. I like him no matter what.
Yeah. I agree.
And he's one of those guys they need in the playoffs.
Guys, we're going on forward before we find out what the finished product is. Let's see what the finished product is. We're just like, oh my God, this is it. No, it's not it.
No, it
is, but it's not going to be much different than this, unless you got one card to play here. Okay, you move Marcus, which Celtics fans are loath to do because again, I'm not saying do it. These are the options you have, or you ship Kemba if somebody wants him in an attempt to get younger.
I don't think you can do
that either.
I think you keep both now. You've lost too much.
But I'm saying if you want options, that's what you've got. I'm not saying it's the right choice. That's it though. That's your only choice. Or you just run it. We run it with what you have, and you make.
You can do.
And you hope that you find your Tices and your Baineses. Those guys are $5 million, $6 million contributors who can help lift you up and make it. Get you into the 4 seed again and have you have a chance to and again, if you have another year of Tatum and Brown development, you never know where you get to there, but there's no big moves coming.
Guys,
something drastic.
Guys, he played 52 games last year. How many games did the NBA season have last year? 78?
72.
Okay, he missed 20 games. Like this dude 18, I think he played. What did he play the year before? I mean, let's just back it up.
He was an Iron Man for a while. He
was an
Iron Man. Charlotte.
18, he played 72 games. 17, we were there. He played one game.
Iron Man for Charlotte.
So Gordon Hayward. I'm talking about Hayward.
And the thing that you make a mention of, which sometimes is true, is once you get hurt, it's easy to get hurt.
That's it.
You know what scares me right now? What scares me is if Danny tries to do something drastic right now and tries to make a play at Harden.
Oh, I don't want James Harden. Look at Max's face.
See, this is where
he's got to shave that beard.
Even if you wanted to do that, I don't think you have the assets now. And that's still what we get back to. You don't have assets remaining from Hayward, from these other guys. The biggest reason there was a case for trading Hayward was to get medium-sized contracts to make a trade happen in the future. We're still at that point where you only have bigs.
The Turner and yes, a few.
Yeah, right now the only good tradable assets are Smart and whatever mid-level guy you would be bringing in. So it's not a ton, and it's definitely not enough for Hayward. All you have are your own picks too.
Yeah, you have Kemba. That's about it.
They don't want Kemba.
Yeah. Fire Brad Stevens. I mean, this chat room, fans are so
rad.
Everybody's angry. We get why. Guys,
yeah, we get it, dudes. I'll be honest. My patience.
Guys, go ahead, Nick.
I mean, there has to be some accountability to Brad Stevens in the last couple of years. So they're let me finish now before you start defending him and kissing his ass. I like Brad a lot, but this is year over year after year that down the stretch, 18, we had the Marcus Smart in Game 7. Last year was a disaster. Kyrie last year ended up with a disaster in the Eastern Conference Finals. Kyrie was a disaster. So, I mean, I like Brad. I think he's brilliant, but there's got to be a point where we say maybe if the one guy who was supposedly like a little brother to him wanted to leave, I don't know. I mean, that was a nightmare, and that was embarrassing in the playoffs when Marcus Smart is yelling at his teammates, and it just he's got to get. We've all been in the back where they've had player meetings.
Nick, huh? It's an embarrassment when you're yelling at your teammates.
No. The way that went out to the media, that they allowed that to get out to the media was embarrassing.
Nick, I don't care how it gets out. Teams are going to have that kind of stuff. And it's not say everything is going to be behind closed doors. It's not.
But Max, he walked out in the hall and told Gary Washburn.
I don't care if he walked out and pulled his damn pants down.
He made MANSCAPED.
Things happen when you play with a team and you get emotional. And did you want Marcus to be happy about that performance?
I'm not mad at Marcus. I think the coach needs to control the locker room.
Performance. With him being mad, did you see a different team in the next game?
And then they lost the following game.
We got to put a bow on it. At the end of the day, I think everybody's instinct is always going to be to look at who to blame. All right, everybody.
Blame John Zannis.
Huh?
Blame John Zannis.
So everyone's going to look for instinct who to blame. At the end of the day, I don't know that you can place blame on the Hayward situation here simply because I think this was how it got played. Indiana's out there on the table. That helps drive up the price. Charlotte swoops in last minute. Jordan's like, all right, if it's going to take this to get it done, that's what it's going to take. And he does it and he's gone. If you're Danny, you're left holding the bag on a few unfortunate situations here. And you wonder what he could have done potentially to stave it off in advance. The answer is, I don't know. I don't know if anything. That's the thing. It just is the reality. The reality is, though, that it sucks. And that's what everybody's mad about, is that it sucks.
Yeah.
Okay. So naturally, when something happens, you'll want to turn around and blame people. It's going to make you feel better. I don't know. When we unpack it over days and time, we'll see what happened. But
you know what? I need to be like Rick Pitino did when he said, you Boston fans right now, all this negativity, all this stuff is going on. Robert Parrish and Kevin McHale and Larry Bird, they ain't walking back through this door. If they do, they're old and gray. This is the greatest sports town in the world. I mean, he went on and on. But I think, again, because we have a team and we have an organization which has been so good for so many years, all we want is more at the end of the day. And do we deserve more? That's a whole question. That's a question a lot of us have to ask.
Hey, this makes me say what I always say. 2018, you said we'll be back. Last year, you lose. You said we'll be back. You never know. You got to take advantage of that moment when you're there.
That's true. That's
very good way to end it.
That's what God is true. The opportunity that you had last year against Miami, and Nick will tell you that, and normally I am not a depressed person.
No.
But after that game in Miami and they lost, I was depressed because I saw there was a possibility.
There's a pathway
open for you to beat a team in LA that I thought that you were capable of beating with the team that you have right now.
All right. So, guys, I want to tell everybody again before we close it up here, and we thank everybody. Cedric Maxwell, Celtics legend, Celtics broadcaster, NBA Finals MVP.
Birthday boy. It's his birthday, man.
Birthday boy.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Look. Guys, if you're not doing it like Stevie Wonder, then don't do it, okay?
We were trying. We're white boys. We were trying, though.
For the thousands of people who have hopped in and out of this stream, we thank you. We recognize some of you are angry and some of you think every one of us individually are idiots.
But dumbasses, yeah.
I get it. I am going to wag my finger a little bit at the 2 to 3 people who are like, who the hell is Max? Do your freaking homework.
Yeah, are you nuts? Okay?
Do your homework, guys. This is a Celtics chat. Who is Max? My God, grow up. Number 2,
Weinberg.
If you need to know, guys, who I am, next time you come to the garden, look up the damn ceiling, okay? And that number up there, 31, is up there for a damn reason, all right? So y'all can say what the hell you want to say about me and what I've done, but 2 championships, a Finals MVP. Let me let that speak for my damn.
And again, these are a couple of outliers here. The rest of the chat is gushing.
Most offended them, yeah. Cornbread, I see a lot of cornbread.
Max, goat.
Yeah.
We love it. Once again, shout out to the sponsor, Manscaped, 20% off, free shipping with the code GARDEN at Manscaped20. Max is going to go back to doing whatever Max does, and hopefully
playing Scrabble on his birthday.
Nick is going to go use those Manscaped products right now. Bobby's got to do some write-ups on this Celtics stuff. I'm literally going to read this Gordon Hayward post and probably
one more time
write a 10,000-word essay on packing.
Can I say something before I go?
Yeah.
I'm going to say a word here that everybody will understand. Right? Jeffrey Tubin. Never mind.
My God. The kids in the chat have no clue.
We just lost all our sponsors. Cool. Guys, thank you again. If there's more moves, we'll be back out here. I can't promise Cedric Maxwell every time. This is a rare treat for us. So, Max, we're thankful. We're honored. We love it when you join. So, yes, thank you, Nick.
I had so much fun, guys. Even the people who said I was an idiot, I enjoyed you. When you take time to go on your computer and tell me that I'm an idiot, that's a beautiful thing. That means I have consumed your day in some form or fashion. So that's a beautiful thing.
And if you don't already, the Cedric Maxwell podcast is an absolute must listen and must subscribe. So if you do 2 things before you hop off this stream, please press subscribe to this YouTube channel.
3 things.
That way, every single time we go live, and we're going to do it a ton during the rest of the offseason, anytime there's news, and throughout the year, we'll be doing post-game shows that you'll get notifications immediately. Turn on your notifications. You'll know when we go live. We've had a ton of success the last few days having all you guys on here. It's been awesome. Subscribe to Cedric's podcast immediately, okay? It's one of the best in town. It's unique. It's not just basketball. It's life. It's everything you would want to discuss or hear Max talk about, with great guests, great topics, no holds barred. One of the best podcasts around. And
the Dome Theory, 100 episodes.
That is.
Dome Theory,
bro. Well. Happy 100.
Oh, yeah, Dome Theory, of course. And we've got a great video on there right now. We went live with Dome Theory the other day. Bobby Manning, of course, doing great work for us. CLNSmedia.com. That's where you'll find all of our stuff. Thank you, everybody, again, for joining. We're going to sign off.
Keep the faith, fans.